I just finished watching both videos, one by Hans Rowling and the other one by Sheryl Wu Dunn. And the one that I liked the most out of the two was Hans Rowling's about the washing machine and how that was the big breakthrough for education in women. I liked it because he used an example, and it was a lot more easy. It was easier to follow and understand, and it kind of just made sense, and it just clicked something in my mind. The argument that the washing machine enabled women to have more time to educate themselves and their children. I thought that was, kind of clever for him to think about that. How, something so simple as a washing machine could change the education industry, could change how, women had more time for themselves, because it's true. A lot of women in other countries don't have the luxury of having a washing machine, so they take up hours and hours of their day washing these clothes by hand, when other countries that do have washing machines, have time to do more things for themselves, because, you throw it into the washing machine and it's on its cycle for about an hour, and you have that hour to spend time with your family, you have time for yourself, you have time to cook, you have time to clean, you have time to do other things, especially, educate your children. That's what, the main thing he was trying to do at the end. He pulled out a whole bunch of Dr. Seuss books at the end. This will give you time to have with your children. And I think when you put it that way, it makes these luxuries seem awesome in a way, because, you have time to educate children, and that's really important. It's so important to have the education for children so that they can grow up, because, in the next generation, they're going to be the ones leading the country. I think in Sheryl Wu Du's TED Talk, she hit the nail right on the head. She had some great points, especially when she was concerned about women and gender equality. And she said that the central moral challenge facing in this century, right now, the 21st century, is gender and inequality. And then she went back back 2 centuries, and she said in the 19th century it was slavery, in the 20th century it was totalitarianism, and now it's gender inequality. And she said, in this last half century, more girls were discriminated to death than all people killed in battles. And I think that's really important to think about. She shared an example of a girl in Ethiopia, and about a family in Ethiopia, and she was comparing the girls to the boys in the same family, and the girls were more malnourished than the boys. The boys were fine, they were living healthy, but the girls, you could see their spines, you could see their skin was shriveled up. They were sick and weak and not healthy. She believes that women need to be educated enough to bring them to the same level as men so they can work in the same place. When you educate a girl, it can be a solution to a problem. But the thing is, there's a lot of girls that are living in poverty that don't have the luxury of being educated. But she said that families that are living on about $2 a day, the men of the house kind of decide where the money goes, and a lot of the times it goes to things that aren't needed. But she believes that, if a woman and a man can make the decisions together, then it'll be their poverty will increase, that they will have less poverty, if that makes sense. She also addressed something that Bill Gates had said. He said that if you are not fully utilizing half of your talent in your country, then you will not get close to the top 10. And that was in reference to Saudi Arabia, when he was speaking at a conference there, and a man stood up and asked, what's the best way to reach to the top 10? And he noticed that women were sitting on one side and men were sitting on the other, and he said, if you're not fully utilizing half of your talent in your country, then you will not get close to the top 10. And I believe that he was referring to the women, because women have the power to help too. Women, they are just as important as men, and they can help. The culture, another point that she addressed was that the culture has not embraced women leaders. That there are hundreds of thousands of women who fought very hard to lead and thrive and grow in corporate America and the political arena, but our culture has not embraced them. So even in the United States, we're not fully embracing women, and I believe that other countries aren't either. Also, just kind of comparing the two, both Hans Rowling and Sheryl Wu Dunn stated clearly that women are part of the solution, that they are the important for success in this world. They, if they want to reach, and this is empowering women and help in fixing gender equality. This is one of the 8 millennium goals, is to make sure that women become at the same level as men. And if we can take time out of the day to educate women, just a little by little, then women can eventually become equal as men, and they can contribute just as much as men can into this world. And I believe that as each country tries to develop this, then it will all become clear. I know in my own country, I have the Central African Republic. It doesn't look great for women. Many women, they are the subject of violence, and that's something that Sheryl Wu Dunn talked about in this last half, which I had already said about how women in the last half century have been more discriminated to death, and that's something that is an issue in the Central African Republic. There's so much violence referring to women, and I believe that if women can be seen as equal in my country that I'm researching, then that would decrease a lot, that the violence wouldn't be so centered to women. And yeah, so